you've tried happy hours, you've tried the escape rooms, you've tried all of those things, and they were fun for a week, and people talked about them for a week, but then everybody was miserable again. So just being open in the first place. And then the second one is really diving into the aspect of playfulness. So back to that sort of playful work design, and just considering playfulness of as a leader, maybe of yourself as a leader. So looking into what kind of playfulness can you start to exhibit throughout the office, and then just seeing if any kind of, conversations change, or maybe some email responses might be a little bit different.
Hey, it's Nick Armstrong, and you are listening to the Founded in FoCo podcast. Every episode, we get to talk with a mover and shaker in our community doing great and interesting things, and the things that they are interested in as well. So today, I have Acey Holmes from BoredLess. Acey, tell us what you do.
Hi, I focus on bringing play back to professionals. So I was a pediatric speech pathologist. I literally played for a living and really got deep into some of the research around play and trying to convince some old stodgy bureaucrats that after the pandemic, our kids didn't need to go back to extra school and longer school days plus summer school, that play was in fact the answer. And found out a lot of organizations were doing really good work in that area. And they did not need my help, I guess. So I realized that maybe this might apply to adults as well. And I fell deep into a research rabbit hole about play and adults. And it turns out play is just as great for adults as it is for kids.
Now, are you talking about like video games, or are you talking about like Legos and stuff like that? What are you talking about when you say play?
All of the above. I have 10 characteristics that I personally believe define play. If you ask all the researchers and the real scientists what play is, how it's defined, you will not get one answer. They'll all tell you something different. So I decided to make my own. It's got 10 characteristics. One of the most important ones being that it's really personal. So Lego is play, video games are play, sports are play. Sometimes reading can be play. Pretty much anything that brings any particular person joy, but also has meaning and is actively engaging.
So Tough Mudder qualifies.
It depends on the person's motivations, but it could, yes.
That's fascinating. So what are some of the benefits that we see about incorporating play for adults, in particular in an office space situation?
Well, that's a great movie, by the way. Every single character from that movie would probably have benefited from a little more play in their life. Outstanding from the guy that said she needed more flair. So play is really relevant in our work situations, and it's starting to become a little bit more prevalent and getting talked about a little bit more, because folks are starting to notice that people are actually people when they're at work still, and not just a tool or a machine, and that people have human needs. And I will not go into the neuroscience behind play during this short discussion, but it does support that play is really actually like a crucial human need. Our brains thrive when we're playing. So thinking about just being humans at work, and that we should get to play. Play also really encourages communication, collaboration, creativity. I feel like that one's kind of obvious. But two of my favorite benefits, especially for the office, is that it really boosts openness and vulnerability. So when you think about teams working together, encountering problems of any sort, whether it be from a product standpoint or interpersonal between the teams standpoint, anything like that, openness and vulnerability are going to lead to understanding and discussion and problem solving and critical thinking through that way. So play is the easiest way to get teams to that kind of situation.
You're not just talking about like in a particular situation, you're talking about all across the board, right?
Yeah. So one of my favorite terms is from the research, but it's called playful work design. There's people out there who are at academic universities, and that's what they're studying, playful work design. There's all kinds of research that supports it. And it doesn't have to be one particular activity. Fun team building activities have their place and they're a great time, but taking play and maximizing its potential, you got to go a lot deeper with it, bringing it into even just like the way you schedule a meeting.
Yeah, and we've heard of, idea generation sessions where it's been primarily focused on play or Lego building or other things like that, and it really trying to elicit this idea of the beginner's mind, right? There's somebody who's newbie
Yes.
at something, they're generating ideas they wouldn't have with their mounds of experience. And so where do you see teams utilizing this the best? Because I know a lot of folks, when they hear, oh, we're going to have a team building day, that becomes, it's like, oh, it comes, the groans come along with it.
I run the other way. Somebody tells me we're doing team building, even me, I run the other way. Yeah.
How do you incorporate that into the data? I mean, without the groaning, without the, granted, you're going to have some groaning, but how do you do it
Sure.
without people running, screaming from the room?
So the key to that is starting with education. So like I mentioned, everything that I pull from actually comes from neuroscience. So starting with education, helping everybody understand that this is not just forced fun. This is not just somebody told me to give you guys something fun to do, so I'm checking a box. That this is actually about their overall well-being, and that the application of the principles is more about looking at the physical, mental, cognitive health of the teams themselves as they work together.
HR wrote me a memo and told me I had to have a good time. So here I am.
Right, exactly. Did you hear about that guy in France?
No, I did not.
This,
Tell us.
this is not a joke. This is not a joke. It sounded like a joke lead in. No, there was really a guy in France he sued his previous employer for wrongful termination because he didn't go to happy hour and the after work required activities, and he sued them and he won, as he should have. So yeah, it happens.
I love the idea of incorporating this as an element into the workday, into the structure. We've heard of like the fifth days, the experimental lab days, right? So you Friday, or use your Monday or a portion of your time throughout the week for just experimentation, knowing that it's likely to fail. Google famously implemented this. Do you see companies here locally implementing play into their work structure in a way that has yielded results?
Not on such a scale as that I know of personally, but I have been pleasantly surprised at the number of stories that I'm getting from executive leadership, HR folks, or even just members of teams, individual contributors who are saying, my boss does that. Oh yeah, we have a good time. There's a great organization that does some really cool shoe technology, and they have fully embraced the flexible work week. So it's not necessarily remote, it's not in the office, it's not even hybrid, because they're given the choice, which is major for employees these days. But they're leaning towards encouraging 2 particular days, just for the ease of in-person meetings and things that actually have to happen, because they do have a tangible product. And the types of things that they are putting into place that are offerings and suggestions and not required and not forced are really impressive. So it's not hard to find.
What would be a great first step for any company to take to implement more play into their workspace?
It's a little abstract, but just going into openness, leaning into it, like giving it a shot, right? You've tried happy hours, you've tried the escape rooms, you've tried all of those things, and they were fun for a week and people talked about them for a week, but then everybody was miserable again. So just being open in the first place. And then the second one is really diving into the aspect of playfulness. So back to that sort of playful work design, and just considering playfulness as a leader, maybe, of yourself as a leader. So looking into what kind of playfulness can you start to exhibit throughout the office, and just seeing if any kind of, conversations change, or maybe some email responses might be a little bit different.
It seems like this would be a really common thing, and it probably is. Firms like Crisp and Porter Roguski, the big ad agency down in Boulder, where we've seen ping pong tables and foosball tables and all the rest of this stuff. Can freelancers who are not a ginormous agency, they're just a solopreneur, can they take advantage of some of these principles as well?
Absolutely. So taking in playfulness into yourself, sometimes I think it might even be a little bit more important for the solopreneur, because we often end up working ourselves to death, because no one's telling us to, but we also won't be able to pay bills if we don't. So taking breaks important, but more than just taking breaks, making them actual meaningful breaks. So taking a walk is fantastic, but maybe make your walk a little bit playful and skip for a little bit of it, or just turn around and walk backwards. Look over your shoulder, please. Do not break your neck and say that I told you to do it. So turn around and walk backwards, maybe just do a couple spins on the sidewalk. That kind of novel movement for your brain, the creative parts and the good cognitive parts really start to light up when that stuff happens.
Tell us about your talk at Founded in FoCo.
So it's going to lean into that quite a little bit, because I know a lot of us are, and even the bigger companies, they've got people that kind of take care of this culture and taking care of their people. But for us to take care of ourselves, really thinking about how to put this into play, because it's just like any other self-care, right? Okay, I know I should meditate. I know I should go get a massage. I know I should do whatever. I don't have time. So it's the same kind of concept as that. And so I hope to help folks that come to my talk kind of sort that self out for themselves and help them along the way.
For a freelancer, I imagine the advice is a little bit different than like a larger corporate or mid-sized corporate HR department. For freelancer, have you seen particular things be really effective? Is it just simply a matter of being open to making the time for yourself?
Yeah. And it's really more about, for individuals, it's a little bit more about giving ourselves permission. So as adults, we feel like we should be doing this, this, and this. Same for entrepreneurs. And so considering doing something playful for the sake of it just being play is really hard. We're responsible and serious people that need to do business. So helping work through that kind of a little bit more. So yes, it is being open, but then also giving yourself permission.
So give yourself a note from HR that that's,
by the way, you are HR.
Right. You're HR, and also maybe the overly litigious employee.
Right. Yep.
What's the one takeaway from your talk at Founded in FoCo that folks can look forward to?
Oh gosh. I think just how important really traditional play is. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. You don't have to sign up for an improv class. You don't have to get, find a pickup basketball team. It can be really traditional, back to sort of your roots and what you like to do as a kid kind of play, and that it is not too difficult to access.
Awesome. And if freelancers or solopreneurs or even small business owners wanted to get in touch with you and learn more about your business, where can they find more about you?
So I am on the web, www.b, like the verb, BoredLess.com, BE, BoredLess.com. And actually, I'm very proud of this, so I'm going to say this. It's pretty easy to Google. I worked really hard on my SEO. So you can find me on the web. Instagram is also the same, be BoredLess. And my email address is acey@solvelearnplay.com. And I love to chat. Happy to send out a Calendly to anybody. I just like to talk about play. So.
Acey, thank you so much for being here with me today. And for more great actionable advice from your fellow entrepreneurs, visit foundedinfoco.com. We hope to see you March 1st through 3rd. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Nick Armstrong, and this is a Founded in FoCo podcast. For more great interviews like this one, join us at foundedinfoco.com.